Hello, this is Dan Linn with another drug war analysis coming to you from Chicago, Illinois. Today is Friday, January 18th, 2013. We will be covering topics in the war on drugs in Illinois, across the United States of America, as well as internationally today. I am the Executive Director of the Illinois chapter of the National Organization to Reform Marijuana Laws. If you would like to find out more information about that organization, you can go to its website at www.illinoisnormal.org, and that's Illinois spelled out, NORMAL, the acronym for the National Organization to Reform Marijuana Laws, which is NORML, and then .org, where you can find an archive of these drug war analysis, as well as other ways that you can help out in Illinois to end not only cannabis prohibition, but the war on drugs. One of the things that Illinois NORML has been doing lately is having meetings across the state. This past Saturday we had a very successful meeting in Rockford, Illinois at a coffee shop on Saturday morning. We had about 6 people turn out, and they are motivated and they want to get active in helping out to end cannabis prohibition. One of the things that is happening in Rockford is that the documentary movie called The House I Live In will be playing at Katie's Cup, which is located at 502 7th Street in Rockford. There's an article about this movie screening in the Rockford Register-Star. We also had a meeting this past week in Elmhurst at a coffee shop as well, where we had 7 people show up. That is in our effort to get more people involved in DuPage County, Illinois, which is a very important county for us because it is the most populated Republican county in the state of Illinois. In the last gubernatorial election, I believe there were 3 candidates for the Republican Party from DuPage County, and if we are looking to end cannabis prohibition, it will be important for us to get some support out of DuPage County. One of the things that came from that Elmhurst meeting is that we are likely going to switch the locations of those meetings in DuPage County so that it is more convenient for the folks who are coming to those meetings, as well as because of the fact that we are starting to have a larger turnout, we need to expand and get more space so that we can accommodate more people getting involved in helping in DuPage County. We're also having more volunteer nights at Multiculti in Chicago. We had one the previous week on Tuesday night where we were able to send thank you cards to our members, our dues-paying members of Illinois NORML, as well as start working on other projects. One of them is getting intel on the newly elected state representatives and state senators in Springfield. And part of that effort, on this upcoming Tuesday, January 22nd, we will be having another volunteer night at Multiculti, where we will be drafting a survey that we will send to each state representative and state senator in Illinois, which is 177 of them. We will be mailing them this survey with a self-addressed stamped envelope so that they can fill out this survey on how they feel about industrial hemp farming, how they feel about medical cannabis, how they feel about legalizing cannabis for all adults. And hopefully they will fill out these surveys, identify themselves, return them to us in the self-addressed stamped envelopes, and that'll help us get a pulse on the state lawmakers in Illinois about how they feel on our issue and some of the more specific aspects of ending cannabis prohibition, things like industrial hemp farming, things like decriminalizing cannabis, as well as legalizing cannabis, because there will be lawmakers who support some of those, but not all of them, and then there will be others who support all of those ideas, and of course there'll be some who support none of those ideas. So we're just looking to get a good pulse or a feel from these state lawmakers, and that'll help us better lobby them to change these laws. If you would like to get involved with that, again, we will be having another volunteer night on January 22nd at Tuesday, 6 to 10 p.m. they usually last. The last one was a great success, was a lot of fun. We're expecting that again this upcoming week on Tuesday. Another upcoming event is next Thursday, January 24th. I will be on a panel in Urbana, Illinois, from the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana there. They're hosting a panel called Marijuana, Monsters, and Milk. It's a public health forum about the public perceptions as well as the factual evidence about the safety or dangers of marijuana, Monster energy drinks, and raw milk. So that'll be at 7 p.m. at the Department of Veterinary Medicine in Champaign-Urbana. You can find out more information through their website or our website under our activities and events calendar page. And then next weekend, on January 26th, the Southern Illinois Normal Chapter will have its first meeting at the Cigar Inn in Belleville, and that is at 5 p.m. The following week, on January 30th, we will have our first lobby day in Springfield at the Capitol. Those begin about 9 or 9:30 in the morning and generally last until about 4:30 or 5 in the evening. We are encouraging all supporters of ending cannabis prohibition to come to the Capitol that day. We will have an info table set out for the public, for the lawmakers. If people feel comfortable enough lobbying their elected officials, they can come and get information to then present to the lawmakers there. And for those who can't make the Springfield Lobby Day on January 30th, we ask our supporters to call their state legislators on that day. The more that we can kind of tie up the phone lines, the more that we can have that pressure on a directed effort on that day, the better it looks for our issue, and the more likely we will be able to convince them that there is a growing momentum of support behind ending cannabis prohibition, not just for medical purposes or industrial hemp farming purposes, but for all adults. We did mention how we sent out thank you cards to the Illinois Normal paid membership list. That is part of a new project of ours where we're really just trying to appreciate the people who are financially supporting this organization and this cause, giving them personalized thank you cards, telling them how their elected officials feel on this issue, because again, we are looking to change these laws. We are doing it through the legislature, so we need to know how the lawmakers feel. And when somebody sends us a financial contribution, I think that we owe it to them to let them know how their elected officials feel on this issue. So that's just part of our outreach campaign to really let our members know that we do appreciate their support, and this is some of the services that we can offer to them for that support. This past week, the Daily Herald newspaper in the suburbs of Chicago had an editorial stating that towns would be wise to plan for medical marijuana. Their editorial was a little bit skeptical about the medical value of cannabis, which I thought was kind of ridiculous given the amount of studies that are out there detailing the medical efficacy of cannabis. But it is good that they are saying towns that this is probably going to happen. And as far as I'm concerned, in my opinion, the Daily Herald is the most important newspaper in the state of Illinois because it covers the collar counties of Cook County and Chicago, where our battle is really going to be won or lost. Chicago is overwhelmingly politically liberal. The rest of the state of Illinois is generally politically conservative, and it's those suburbs that are kind of the swing votes or areas of the state of Illinois, and that Daily Herald newspaper, I feel, covers those neighborhoods, covers those communities very well, and I think that they are a very important newspaper for us to be able to get our message out there and to get their editorial board in support of. Another thing that is happening in Chicago, tomorrow, Saturday, there will be a rally against the Citizens United Supreme Court case. That'll be at noon at Federal Plaza. Illinois Normal plans on having volunteers there with clipboards, signing people up for our email list, as well as distributing information about the need to end the war on drugs, as well as cannabis prohibition. And this weekend, the House I Live In documentary screening will also take place at the Gene Siskel Film Center in Chicago. That movie will run in Chicago, at least, from today, Friday, January 18th, until next week, Wednesday, January 23rd. So if you have not seen that documentary, which is me, I have not seen it, but I have heard wonderful things about it, maybe go out to the Chicago screening, or if the Rockford screening is more convenient for you, that is an excellent way that people can get involved and learn more about the war on drugs and the growing movement to end the war on drugs. In news across America, the Washington State Liquor Control Board is having public forums about the rules and regulations regarding their recent legalization initiative passage. They will be having those public forums across the state of Washington starting at the end of this month and going into next month in January. On the 22nd, they will be at the Washington State Liquor Control Board's headquarters. On January 24th, they will have the public forum at the Seattle City Hall. February 7th, it will be at Clark College. February 12th, the Spokane City Hall. February 19th, the Skagit Valley College. And February 21st, Yakima City Hall will hold a public forum. So if you are interested in following what is going on in Washington, or if you live in Washington State, definitely try and make it out to one of those public forums and find out who is involved in trying to shape the way that that legalization will work out in practice, and giving them your 2 cents and your opinion, because that's exactly what a public forum is supposed to do. As well as on the West Coast, the drug czar has visited Colorado and Oregon, touting that the legalization that occurred in Colorado and Washington is sending a bad message to kids. This should come as no surprise, because the drug war's job description doesn't allow them to say anything positive about any of the substances that are Schedule 1. And if you want more information about the drug czar's job description and how they basically are required to lie, especially in the face of the scientific value and evidence supporting medical cannabis, the Drug War Rant blog has some of the best details about the job description of the drug war, of the drug czar in this drug war. Pete Geither runs the Drug War Rant blog. He's from Central Illinois. It's a wonderful way to stay up to date on the drug war. And if you can search for the drug czar's job description and why he or she is required to lie, that website has a wonderful page detailing that aspect of the drug czar's job. Here in the Midwest, there has been a medical cannabis bill introduced in Iowa. It is looking unlikely to pass, though, because the sponsor of the bill is in the minority party, and the Speaker of the House of Representatives in Iowa is against the bill. But it is good to at least seeing that bill introduced. I know that the state board of the Pharmacy State Board in Iowa came out in support of medical cannabis a couple of years ago, and this is just showing that there is growing momentum in the Midwest for medical cannabis. In that regard, the state of Indiana has a decriminalization as well as hemp farming bill introduced. It is Senate Bill 580, and they have lumped together the reduction of penalties for small amounts of cannabis crimes, along with a language that allows for farmers to grow hemp in the state of Illinois. Again, that is Senate Bill 580, and that is in Indiana, I'm sorry. If you are interested in participating in that effort in Indiana, the Indiana Normal Chapter is looking to get more and more people supporting that Senate Bill 580. In Missouri, St. Louis is considering decriminalizing cannabis. They held an initial hearing this past Thursday. Unfortunately, they did not vote on it. They said that they will put it off until they can get more testimony. The current law is that those found in possession of under 35 grams face a $1,000 fine or up to a year in jail. And what this decriminalization ordinance would do is it would lower those penalties for under 35 grams to a $100 to $500 fine and up to 90 days in jail. There was a clause in the initial ordinance that would have allowed patients who are medically recognized in other states to be omitted from this decriminalization ordinance. That clause has since been dropped. But it's interesting to see how they were looking to shape their decriminalization ordinance to respect other states that legally tolerate medical cannabis, and to grant a medical cannabis patient in legal out instead of getting that decriminalized ticket in St. Louis. But we're anxiously awaiting how that will proceed further. St. Louis is obviously a huge city in the Midwest, and especially in that region of the Midwest. So we're going to be following that, and hopefully that Southern Illinois Normal Chapter can help out with that. whatever it may be, along with the good folks at the Missouri Normal Chapter, because I know that they're looking to change some of the laws in that state as well. And then if you are curious as to who the top 5 enemies of legalizing cannabis are, Rolling Stone magazine has a list on their website. I will leave that up to you to go and find out who the top 5 enemies of cannabis legalization are in this country. There's definitely some names that I recognized on there, but there were a couple who I did not recognize, and it was good to find out who it is that is working against our cause, and see if we can convince them to stop doing what they're doing, or to see our ideas as something that they should also pursue. And then in international news, we have a few interesting stories today. Siberian psychologists have a new approach to treating addiction. Well, maybe it's not that new as far as the world is concerned. They are going to start caning individuals on the buttocks to help cure them of their addiction. These are 2 psychologist professors in the article that I read about this story. The one is Professor Marina Shkrova, and she says, "We cane the patients on the buttocks with a clear and definite purpose. It is not some warped sadomasochistic activity." Emphasis on the "not" is my own. I would argue that it is a sadomasochistic activity when you are caning somebody on the butt to rid them of addiction. But that is what they are doing with the drug war in Siberia. An unfortunate story out of Sweden is that a gentleman who is a Sami, S-A-M-I, which are the indigenous people of Scandinavia, he spent 6 years in South America learning plant medicine, working with the shamans in South America. The plant medicine that he was working with, things like ayahuasca, things like San Pedro, things like peyote, and other plant medicines that have been used for as long as people have been living in the jungle. And he took that knowledge, he was going to return to Sweden to share that knowledge with his indigenous people. I guess his father was the last known healer in that community. When he returned to Sweden, he got a package in the mail that was just under 1 kilo of San Pedro cactus, and he was arrested and jailed for 2 weeks by the customs police in Sweden. The catch is that San Pedro cactus is legal in Sweden, so what ended up happening is that a judge dismissed the case, and now the prosecutor has reopened the case and is looking to make an example out of this person who went to the jungle, learned what the indigenous people of the jungle are doing for healing, not just physical ailments, but psychological problems. He returns to his native country where this cactus is legal. He gets a shipment of it in the mail, is arrested. The judge realizes that this isn't going to work, dismisses the case, and then the prosecutor reopens it in an attempt to make an example out of him. The article that I read, which I believe was on The Fix, mentioned real briefly, but they didn't have any evidence about this being part of a broader movement to suppress plant medicines. I wish that somebody had more evidence to back up that claim. It would not surprise me if there is that broader movement to suppress plant medicines, but without any evidence, we can't really be making those claims, I feel, without some type of supporting data. And then to kind of wrap up today, the Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies has been, they've had data published in the Journal of Psychopharmacology and about their Swiss study using MDMA, which is otherwise known as ecstasy. It's the pure form of ecstasy. They've been doing all sorts of research using MDMA to treat post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and these studies' results were published just this year, I believe on January 1st, 2013, in the Journal of Psychopharmacology, demonstrating the safety as well as the potential effectiveness of using MDMA to treat those who are not having positive reactions to conventional treatments for their PTSD. This is something that MAPS is looking to do all over the world. They are taking applicants for a study of U.S. veterans in South Carolina for this. I believe they're about halfway through filling out the necessary patients who are going to take these trials. I think they're going to do a 24-person trial in South Carolina, and I believe they have 12 applicants that they are going to go proceed with in those studies. If you would like more information about MAPS, you can go to their website, which is simply maps.org, maps.org. If you would like more information about what we're doing in Illinois NORML, you can go to the illinoisnormal.org website, where you can also find an archive of these drug war analysis. If you would like more information about the drug war analysis and getting involved with the Q4 Tribe radio show, you can go to the Multiculti website. You can go to the Q4 Tribe website. Multiculti website is mkshy.org. The Q4 website is QUE4.org/radio. You can find the live streaming to Q4 Radio there. You'll be able to find a schedule of other shows that are on Q4 Radio, as well as soon to be an archive of shows that are produced on the Q4 Radio here at the wonderful Multiculti Studios. My name is Dan Linn. I am the Executive Director of the Illinois chapter of NORML. Someday I would like to get rid of that title and hopefully end cannabis prohibition. So if you would like to find more ways to get involved, definitely check out those websites. If you would like to support the drug war analysis, please make a donation to the Illinois chapter of NORML. This is Dan Linn, and I am signing off, and hopefully next week we will have another drug war analysis. We will try and do these on Fridays, somewhere between 1 and 3:30 in the afternoon. Thank you, and please get involved, do something to participate in your government, because in America at least, that is something that we should be very prideful and patriotic of. But again, this is the drug war analysis, and we will see you next week. Thank you.